The federal criminal trial for Sean Diddy Combs is set to start on Monday in New York. This after Combs reportedly rejected a plea deal. National correspondent Alex Miller is joining us now from New York. So, Alex, what do we know about the accusers and what's coming in this trial?
But we don't know a whole lot about the accusers throughout the entire indictment. They are not listed. They are left unnamed here. But over the last year and a half, Sean Combs has faced civil lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, really after lawsuit. Dozens of accusers bringing forward these suits, accusing him of rape, drugging, and violently assaulting both men and women, children as young as 10 years old over the course of decades. But when he walks into the federal court behind me on Monday, only some of those cases are going to be part of the criminal trial. Jury selection is set to begin in a Manhattan courtroom ahead of opening statements May 12th. Sean Combs will face criminal charges mounting over more than 6 months before any of the civil cases.
There very well may be spillover, and a lot of it, but there'll be separate proceedings. What you say in one is going to be admissible in another, and that story is going to be out, and the cross-examination is going to exist.
The Combs indictment was unsealed September 17th of last year on federal charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The original 14-page indictment paints a dramatic picture of Combs striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking women. Prosecutors allege he drugged women, kept explicit videos of them, and threatened them. The government says he even monitored victims' medical records, controlled what they wore and where they lived. They allege his abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual, including manipulating women to participate in highly orchestrated sex performances with male sex workers. Prosecutors have amended the case multiple times in January without adding new charges, but included new details alleging he transported 2 more female victims across state and international lines and that he dangled someone over an apartment balcony. Then, March 6th, prosecutors filed a second superseding indictment without new charges to include allegations of forced labor. Prosecutors say Combs forced his employees to work long hours and threatened to punish those who didn't help him.
You're allowing potentially for new people in a new time frame, so that's bringing in more evidence that could be used, and what it'll do for the prosecution potentially is bolster or lift up the charges or the strength of those charges.
And finally, prosecutors added charges in early April alleging more sex trafficking and transportation across state lines to engage in prostitution. The severity of these allegations will undoubtedly make jury selection complex.
One of the issues they're going to deal with is not just his celebrity and not just everything that's surrounding it, but here the other component is going to be that sexual abuse and people's personal experiences with that. That's something that is going to be very important.
There are now 5 total criminal charges against Combs. He's pleaded not guilty to all of them. And Steph, we do know a little bit more about what jury selection will look like. The judge wants it to last only 2 days, giving the rest of the week to both sides to prepare for those opening statements. And there will be special care taken for those potential jurors because of the nature of this case. Part of jury selection will be done in private. They're going to have to ask them about their history with sexual assault. So obviously not something that people necessarily want done out in the open. Sean Combs will also be allowed to wear his own personal clothes. He doesn't have to wear the jumpsuit that we've been seeing in these bail hearings. But one thing that we do not know right now is who exactly is going to take that witness stand. There's been a lot of discussion about that now infamous hotel tape regarding Cassie Ventura. If they end up using that, she likely will be called to the stand, as well as there's a potential for other celebrities. They could be called to the stand as well. This trial is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks.
Wow, a lot going on there, Alex. But do we know anything about how Combs' lawyers are planning to mount a defense?
You know, he's denied all of the charges, but in a hearing last month, they previewed a little bit about what this defense is going to look like, and they're calling it the swingers defense. Swinging as in being able to sleep with different people if you're having different partners. They say not only was this common, but that all of it was consensual, and so that is likely what they're going to hang their hat on. Not necessarily that these situations didn't happen, but that they were common and that they were consensual among all of the parties involved. Obviously, not what the government is alleging.
Certainly sounds like some very different stories that those jurors are going to have to sift through in that courtroom over the course of a few months. Alex Miller in New York for us this afternoon. Thank you.